Thank you very much. And as we approach the end of our 10th week of restrictions, I first of all want to express our gratitude to those who have resolutely abided by the regulations, and we also of course pay tribute to the many individuals in the frontline battle against COVID and to those whose work and voluntary efforts have allowed Northern Ireland to keep functioning over this extraordinary time. Last week, when we were joined by the Chief Constable, I made the point that how we continue to behave will determine how quickly we can move through further relaxations. We have to be careful. We have seen how other nations' health services have been quickly overwhelmed by coronavirus, and each relaxation has an impact on the virus reproduction rate, the R rate, and too many relaxations too quickly can push it back up into the territory that we don't want to be in. So the vast majority of the Northern Ireland public have been exemplary over this past 2 months, although we are still hearing too many anecdotal reports of groups of people not adhering to social distancing in public. Traffic flows for Tuesday the 26th were up by 11.5% from the previous Tuesday, but that is still 40.3% lower than a normal weekday. Childline provided 16,644 counselling sessions between March the 23rd and May the 10th for young people worried about their mental health and well-being during the pandemic, and that's an average of 1 every 5 minutes. So we understand how important it is for everyone to see as much gradual progress towards normality as possible. And we also know how critical it is that we begin building towards a fully functioning economy again. Today, the Executive considered the expert advice as part of our required 3-weekly review of the Health Protection Coronavirus Restrictions Northern Ireland regulations. As I've already said, every relaxation we introduce impacts on the R value, and we can only make adjustments while R remains less than 1. Thanks to the efforts the community have been making, the Executive has been able this morning to provisionally agree a series of measures which could come into effect from June the 8th. These will permit small marriages and civil partnership ceremonies outdoors, with the number attending limited to 10 people. People will also be able to attend to the needs of pets and non-farm animals, allowing the training of horses and visits to dog groomers, for instance. Outdoor sports courts would also reopen, and hotels will be allowed to take bookings as well at risk. And we are carrying out some further work around the broad tourism accommodation sector and their need for a general time frame to work towards, and we hope to be able to say more about that next week. Rebuilding our economy will, of course, be an enormous challenge. The volume of UK retail sales in April fell by a record 18.1%, and there have already been 1,700 applications to the Micro Business Hardship Fund recently launched by the Economy Minister. A Kantar survey has also found that, however, supermarket sales soared faster in this past 3 months than at any point in this last 26 years, with online orders accounting for 11.5% of all grocery sales and takeaway deliveries up by 250%. So much of the retail that has been possible up to now has been food-related, and that must expand as soon as the science permits. So the Executive today approved the potential for outdoor retail, which includes examples such as car and vehicle sales, as well as agricultural and other large machinery, to reopen. The expert scientific advice is that the risk of the virus spreading outdoors is much less significant than indoors. Also permitted to reopen will be stores and retail outlets with lower frequency customer visits that are accessed directly from the street or via retail parks. This will encompass stores selling household electrical appliances, computer and electronic equipment, mobile phones, and furniture and furnishings. Physical distancing, however, will remain essential. The Economy Minister will provide further detail tomorrow on the preparations that stores will need to make. As the Executive cautiously plots our path back towards normality, we must remain cautious about the spread of the virus. After all, we have to still not seen the full impact of the recently introduced regulations. So all of the measures I'm talking about, I'm outlining, will be introduced from the week beginning the 8th of June, provided that the R value does not increase above 1. The Executive will provide confirmation on whether the relaxations can proceed following our meeting on the 4th of June, but we want to give people prior notice so that they can make the appropriate accommodations. And as we move towards further relaxation, key executive messaging will also focus on 2 themes from now on: stay safe, save lives, and work safe, save lives. Today's announcement is a graduated step towards the opening of retail, and if the R rate is controlled, further expansion can be considered over the coming weeks. So as I indicated last week, if people act in line with the restrictions, the more likely the R rate will improve, resulting in more relaxations. If they don't, we will not be able to do more. And the Deputy First Minister and I recognise each change in the regulations always brings a flurry of individual queries, and consequently the Department of Health is developing guidance for the public, for businesses, for churches and community organisations to explain in as clear a way as possible what people can and cannot do, and it hopes to publish that next week. Contact tracing is another key component of keeping the virus under control, and to date 99 health and social care staff have been redeployed as contact tracers. In the 7-day period from the 19th to the 25th of May, 212 cases were contact traced, an average of 30 per day. In an average 8-hour shift, each tracer carries out all the calls relating to 5 new positive cases and all of their contacts. Further staff are to be recruited for a period of 2 years, including nurses and environmental health officers, with health protection consultants responsible for most of the complex work. Finally, a decision on visiting people indoors was again deferred today on account of the risk of increase in the R value, and the Executive will consider the rest of the Step 2 measures in the coming review by the 18th of June. We know people will be disappointed about that, but I'm very grateful that we have such beautiful weather and that people can see each other outside, because we know outside the virus does not stay around as long as inside. So by making sacrifices, the Northern Ireland public have enabled us to regain certain basic freedoms, and by sticking with it now and remaining patient, you will help us to regain even more. Thank you.